Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Don Stevens Radio Show here on YouTube on the DSP Broadcasting Network. This is WDSP. Even though we're not a real radio station, we like to play like we are. All right, well, for this show, we're going to talk about the election because that's the season that we're in right now. And I want to talk about what Mitt Romney said. He said that, are you ready for this? Being able to fire people, that he likes being able to fire people. And the context that he said this in was someone that provides you a service and doesn't do a very good job, you should be able to fire them and let them go. And I have to agree with him. I like being able to fire people, having options and saying, look, you're fired, bud, get out. You know, with all respect to Donald Trump, trying to own that statement himself, I was saying that to employees long before Donald Trump made it a famous catchphrase on television. But a lot of people think that it's one thing to fire someone and another to like it. A listener from Massachusetts brought that up on Facebook, and my response is that I will not lie. There have been employees I've taken great pleasure in letting go, and others that I have even gotten a little choked up at doing it. But some people seem to think that Mitt was not talking about particular individuals. He was talking about the idea of it, and I don't know. I don't think he's a sick fuck for liking the idea of being able to do that. I think that it's actually an idea that in this country, that being right to work in so many places, that it makes sense. And I do like the idea of being able to fire someone if they're not doing their job. There are people that you have to let go because they just can't do their job, no matter how hard they try, and they really do try hard. And those are the people that it really pulls at the wrong part of you and your emotions, and you don't want to let them go, but you have to. But that's all right. I want to move on from there. One of the things that I really want to talk about today is states' rights in respect to abortion, healthcare, firearms, and homosexual marriage. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is abortion. And this is going to tick off a lot of conservatives out there that are more on my side than anything else politically. I believe that abortion is a states' rights issue. I believe that each state should be able to say whether or not they will have abortion and how it will be regulated, and pay the consequences thereof of people leaving if they disagree. I believe that a national abortion law is overreaching. There are not there's not a national murder law. There is a law on the states, on the books in each state that defines how murder will be dealt with and how it will be tried and such things. And I think that abortion should be the same way. The citizens of a state should be able to decide whether or not they are going to allow abortion in their state, so long as there are provisions for people where it's medically necessary. Because being a medical professional myself, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say this, and I'm not even going to listen to your response if you disagree with this, because this is just the honest to God truth. Abortion is a medical procedure that at times is necessary. It should not be loved. It should not be overused. It should not be abused, but at times it is needed. And any law that says that it can't be used at all in any state should be strike down so fast that you can't even see it. I mean, just cut in half with a lightsaber, because abortion is a necessary medical procedure probably more than you think, but way, 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 way less than we actually use it as one. And I believe that, with the exception of it being used as a medical procedure, when a physician sees it fit to do so, that a state should be able to regulate it. In other words, it should not be used as a form of birth control the way you pop a pill. I also think that each individual state, now that it is FDA approved, should be able to have laws regarding the morning after pill. I personally think that it should be legal in every state, but each state should be able to regulate that. And no state should be able to penalize its citizens for going to another state to get a medical procedure and then coming back, or to get a drug that is FDA approved and bringing it back. And I understand that the state of California should be able to say that medical marijuana is legal in California, and you should be able to bring that medical marijuana for medicinal purposes on a doctor's note back from California to any state, but the moment you sell it, you go into jail. And that's my viewpoint on it, because what we're talking here is a states' right issue. We're not talking about taking away people's freedoms and personal liberties in the sense that we're going to make them slaves. That's not what states' rights is about these days, folks. It's a states' rights issue. The people of a state should get to decide whether or not certain things happen in their state and certain things are allowed in their state with reason. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get on to the next topic, I want to tell you about something that I just despise. It's paying for your television. That's right. No man, woman, or child should have to pay for the television. We have these things called televisions and antennas, and now almost all the TVs, and thanks, I guess, to a government subsidy, since they forced the codes in America to change so that we're broadcasting on the digital band instead of the analog band. And we should tell, all of us collectively, to tell the cable companies to go take a hike, because America can't afford to be spending money on cable right now. Now, those of you that can and want to, go right ahead, because when the rest of us leave, it'll just cost more and you can afford it anyways, and that's fine with me. But we have programs that we can watch on television that are subsidized by commercials. And we use these businesses that we see because they advertise and they pique our interest, and we go and buy their products. Where instead, on cable, you're paying for additional content, but you're still getting commercials. This is a consumer boondoggle. This is a consumer quagmire, and I want to encourage as many of you as it is wise for you to do, to cut the cable. We've got several channels that you can get if you can get them. Now, I understand there are some people out there that can't. I'm sorry. Your cable bill's probably going to go up when the rest of us leave. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to follow this and anyone's going to do what I say or not, but I'm telling you right now, America is in an economic crisis, and paying extra for extra TV channels when you get all the networks over the air subsidized by the people that we do business with every day anyways, private companies, go ahead and forget about the cables and go to the regular television and save yourself a buck. All right. The next thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to state rights is health care. Mitt Romney, who I'm not endorsing, by the way, though I will defend on a case-by-case basis, just like I will defend Gingrich if I see a need to, and I will defend Santorum and Ron Paul and Huntsman and all the rest that are running, even Rick Perry and whoever else decides to throw their hats in the rings. If it's warranted from me for them to be defended, I will. But a lot of people are saying, hey, we can thank Mitt Romney for Obamacare. And a lot of people are saying Obamacare is no different than what the Republican guy that's running for president right now did in Massachusetts, called Mittcare. All right. And I'm calling it Medicare because we call it Obamacare. And I just want fairness and parity coming from me, because I can't control what other people in the mainstream media or the not so mainstream media say. I can't control that, but I can control what comes out of my mouth, and I want to control this. So Medicare is a healthcare system for the state of Massachusetts. Good, bad, or ugly, it is for the state of Massachusetts. It was signed into law by then Governor Mitt Romney. It was put together probably in part by him and probably some Republicans and probably lots of Democrats in Massachusetts. Now, the state of Massachusetts is not the federal government. They are an individual state, and it is well within their rights to set up a healthcare system in that state. The Constitution of the United States does not prohibit that, as far as I know. It is, as long as it fits in with their own Constitution and doesn't infringe upon our rights under the Constitution of the United States, then they should be able to have whatever plan they seem fit. So as long as they're not discriminating against people on the basis of color and religion and all that other stuff that is protected, and gender that is protected under uh, the Constitution and whatnot, as it is seen in the body of the Constitution and its amendments. Obamacare is a violation of the United States Constitution. And to compare and to criticize Mitt or any candidate for what they did in their state that is perfectly prudent, right, legal, and maybe even just, when they go to run for president, it's comparing apple to oranges, okay? Apples to oranges. For example, Rick Santorum voted in Congress against the right to work legislation. Now, I support right to work, but Rick Santorum, and he himself says he supports right to work, but he voted against that legislation. Why? Because he's representing the people of Pennsylvania, or he was representing them, and he thought that it was the state's responsibility and the state's government's right to determine whether or not they wanted to be a right to work state. And he was doing the right thing as a representative of that state. And what people need to understand is that when you are elected by people, there are certain things that you can and cannot do. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the situation we are in when it comes to Medicare and Obamacare. It is a state issue. Mitt Romney was well within the scope of his practice, as we say in medicine. Obama is not. So there we go. That's how I deal with the issue of government health care. Okay? Whether it's state or national, a states' rights issue. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about something that I think is just the bomb, and that is ice cream. I love ice cream. You can get it in almost any flavor. You can get it in vanilla, chocolate, sweaty balls, or Rocky Road, or whatever. And I want you, and you can get it in any calorie count now too. You can get it low calorie, high calorie, low sugar, no sugar, no sugar added, regular strength ice cream, all this stuff. It's there for you, and you can get it and you can enjoy it. And I encourage you, if you have the dough, to go now to an ice cream shop or to go to a grocery store and buy a yummy ice cream and eat it with some kind of restraint. Please don't go overboard, but do eat it and do enjoy it. Ice cream. Well, welcome back to the Don Stevens Show. The next thing I want to talk to you about is firearms. Firearms, guns, the right to bear arms, is a constitutional guarantee. It is a right protected in the Constitution. The government cannot take away our right to bear arms. There are certain laws that can be made, and it's been ruled by the Supreme Court that some of these laws are just, and some laws are made against firearms that the Supreme Court has slapped down. Why? Because we have a right to keep and bear arms, okay? We have that right. It is not a state's right. It is outlined in the Constitution of the United States. So, the right to own a firearm, regardless of who the president is, who's in control of Congress, and really it should be, regardless of who the Supreme Court justices are, should be 100% protected for us. It is not a state right. Unlike health care, right, which is not outlined in the Constitution at all. Therefore, the states have a little leeway in what they want to do with health care, insurance, and stuff like that. And unlike abortion, which is not outlined in the Constitution, the states have a little leeway in how they want to deal with it and regulate it, in my opinion. Firearms, there's not so much leeway there. Okay? There's not so much leeway there. Laws can be passed to regulate the sale in certain ways, as long as it doesn't infringe upon our right in the Constitution of the United States. All right, and this is something that I want to be clear here. I want to show the reason why I bring this up is because I want to show you that there are certain things. Another thing, like the right to bear arms, that is in the Constitution of the United States, that the states do not have the right to regulate and pass laws against, as the freedom of speech and assembly. I hate the and us. I really do. The states do not have the right to tell you that you cannot write what you want to write in a book or in a newspaper or put on television. Now we do have laws that say, hey, this is inappropriate content for all viewers, and it needs to be on different channels or different times. But at the same time, that is information and news, and the interworkings of our government should not be regulated and should be reported upon. Are there things that are classified and that are national security? Yes, there are, and over time that information should come out as well. But the fact is that firearms and the press and anything that is specifically outlined as a right of ours in the Constitution of the United States, those things are not states' rights. They're individual people's rights. So right now, what we have is three different things that I brought up. We've had federal rights that the federal government has, we have the rights that the states have, and then when we have rights that individuals have that neither the federal government nor state can take away, which brings me to my next issue. Marriage. The marriage between a man and woman is not a federal thing, and it has never been a federal thing. It is a state's thing. Different states have different laws on what is marriage, who can marry, how marriage is set up within a state. It is not wrong, I'm not talking about morally, but legally, it is not wrong for one state to have one marriage law and another state to not have that marriage law or to have a different marriage law. And while all states need to respect the laws of other states, that does not say that Massachusetts cannot have. And this isn't about Mitt Romney. This isn't about any of the candidates. This is just laying it out as it is. It is not wrong for one state, whether it be Vermont, Hawaii, or Massachusetts or whatever, to have a marriage law on their books that say homosexuals can get married. Is it morally wrong? Sure, that's a different debate. But it's not wrong for that state, the people of that state, to make that decision. And for there to be a national marriage amendment to the Constitution, that is the federal government taking away a state's rights. And I cannot be for it and will not be for it. And tomorrow or today, if that is when you're listening to this, and it probably will be. We're recording this on the 9th of January 2012, and it'll probably, most of you will hear it on the 10th and after. But tomorrow, which is the 10th, will be the New Hampshire primary. I don't have a lot to say about it, but I will when I record tomorrow night. So on the 11th, tune in to the Don Stevens radio show here on YouTube at the DSP Broadcasting and hear what I have to say about the results of New Hampshire. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Don Stevens radio show. And before I go, I want to tell you about something that I think is just totally awesome. Legos are totally awesome. You can build houses with them. You can build spaceships with them. You can build, I mean, it's like your imagination goes crazy. And when you build with your kids, both of your imaginations go crazy. And now Legos come in the regular normal version and then the themed versions. And now there's a Lego line for girls. If that's not awesome, I don't know what is. Legos are for everyone. Now, where do you go to get Legos? I don't care. You can go to Kmart, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Target, you can go to wherever, Toys R Us. I don't care where you go. If you have the money and you don't have Legos and you have kids that are old enough, go ahead and pick up some Legos and have a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Don Stevens Radio Show. We will see you tomorrow.